I'm Sharon. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I don't know if you've noticed when I've been recording in previous vlogs that normally sitting up this little corner here, there's been a little nose peeping out. And I thought I'd just share with you a few memories and explain why I have this distinguished chappie sitting in my music room all the time. And when I was performing in my choir concerts years and years ago, my children would come and watch me, of course, and my daughter would usually bring along a little bear, and so often she'd bring this sort of family teddy bear, or sometimes his little friend would come along, and these two over the years have become best buddies. In fact, it's funny, it was years and years until we realised that these weren't his eyes, but he'd actually got eyes here as well. We didn't know that for years and years, but there we go. So they're a little dishevelled now, and you can see that they've had quite a hard but well-loved life. And so they'd bring along a teddy bear to come and watch me perform. In fact, it came along so often that in the end I made him a little bow tie so he could get dressed up to come out for a night at the concert as well. And so he'd have his smart bow tie on, and he'd come and watch Mum sing with the children. So I'll just pop him there. But it's interesting to think back over the years and think about the influences that have been sort of unwittingly a part of the children's life. They just came along to watch Mum sing, and it was at one of those choir concerts. We were performing at this local venue, a massive performance hall, the Victoria Hall. Lots of really famous people have performed there as well. It's a massive venue and the acoustics are amazing, and the organ, the pipe organ, is something else. In fact, just a little story there. I was singing in a Christmas concert and I was right up at the top singing second soprano, and I was full term pregnant with twins, and standing high up the staging. My friends next to me were terrified, right next to this massive pipe organ. Anyway, I made it through the concert without any catastrophes or crises. And we were performing, and we got as a guest performer the percussionist Simone Ribello. I think she was trained by the percussionist Stephen Glennie. And she was playing marimba at the time, I think, with the big spread of notes and the two sticks in each hand, and was doing a magnificent performance. And so my children watched that. And it's strange now to think my son's now a drummer and a percussionist, and you wonder, what influences there were there. Who knows? Who can ever tell? And I do remember one night, one day, first of all, I was in the sort of the rehearsal stage in the day, and my husband was at the stage door. Unfortunately, he was at the stage door sort of trying to get a message through to me, because I was on stage with the car keys in my pocket, or the house keys I think it was, and so I had to go down through the dressing rooms and say, sorry, I've got the keys here. But so the kids came into the dressing room area and the sort of the backstage area, and we were performing on that particular occasion with a Russian military band, and they brought along with them some Russian dancers as well. And so just as the children, they'd be about 7 or 8, I think, the twins were, perhaps John was, so John would be about 5. So they were trundling around backstage, and these Russian dancers came past, and then this Russian army sergeant or officer or something in the military band saw this little boy walking past, and just in this massive splurge of Russian walked up to him and picked him up and raised him up, and then in broken English said, "I've got a little boy just like you at home." And it was quite heartwarming, really. It sort of melted my heart to see and hear of this sort of overwhelming emotion. He must have been really missing his kids. But just think about it from my son's point of view, all of this brightness and colour going on backstage, and this big army guy picks him up, and I just think what what an honour to have been allowed these influences in my family life. And then, years later, my children went on to perform in a local music service. They were part of loads of local orchestras. On a Monday night, my daughter and my youngest son, Hannah and John, they would be singing in the City Youth Choir. In fact, they later went on to do, my daughter later went on to conduct that on a few occasions, and that was just such an honour and a blessing, and what a life experience. And on the same night, my eldest, Peter, the twin, he was Hannah's twin, he would be doing the brass band. He would be playing percussion for the brass band. I think Tuesdays were a night off because I would go to choir on a Tuesday. And then Wednesday nights, they'd be either in the first of all, the training wind band, and then they progressed on up to the concert band. And then on a Thursday night, Hannah and John again would be in like a folk group playing folk music, which I thought was a really good breakaway from just sort of orchestral stuff and reading the page. And so they'd be doing like folk busking, and they go to all sorts of folk festivals. And on the same night, my son Peter, he'd be doing percussion in a percussion group, and they did all sorts of sort of processions. Later on, my son Peter went on to do the Whit Friday marches with various brass bands and so on. And so that was a massive part of their life. It was a really contributing factor to a long period of their formative years. And I'm so grateful to that service, that the skills and the life opportunities that it inputted into my children's life. And I have here, this was the tie that they wore, and I'm so proud of that tie that they wore. They probably hated it at the time, but I think that just expresses the real privilege and blessing. And I do think that they were part of perhaps the golden years, really. The standard of music that they performed was excellent. They went to Belgium and performed The Last Post at the Menin Gate. They did so many marvellous performances, and it was a massive, real part of their life, formative part of their life. And here is an award, like a Leavers Award, that was like a medal that was given to my son as he left. Can you see that there? And I'm really, really proud of that as well. And I know it's a contentious thing, really, to be talking about sort of music services and local council services, because I do realise that you can't pay for stuff with money you haven't got, and I totally appreciate that. And there are many who would say that music is an absolute luxury, but it's not just about music actually as it is there and then on the paper, or even the performance. It's so much about the life skills. And actually, out of the three of my children, only one of them now works in the field of music. Peter, the percussionist, he's now a drummer. So he's gone on to perform on The Voice, The X Factor. It's a tough life. You're on the road and the long hours, but he is actually doing that job. And it's got all sorts of things on the horizon. But that doesn't mean that for the other two, those music years were wasted, because it's massive life skills. And if you're applying, say, for example, to university or to a job, they refer to these sort of musical experiences and skills as the softer skills, where it shows that you've got this wide personality, you're involved and you're proactive and you're doing all these jolly things. And also, it's a really big scientific study finding that I think it may be one of the few things, but I have a feeling it's one of the only things. I'd have to look into that further, but I have a memory that it's one of the only things when you're performing music where you actively engage and fire up every area of your brain. So, what must that be doing to your IQ? And they do say that if you play a musical instrument, it usually boosts your IQ by about 10%. So, that's pretty good for whatever job you're doing, isn't it? But it also shows that you use your time wisely, and you're not just sitting doing nothing. And so even though they're not working in music itself, in fact I do know that one of the reasons my daughter actually got a job in a computer coding and a London advertising agency was because she got grade 8 piano, grade 8 theory, grade 8 flute. She played in all of these orchestras, and they were so impressed by the fact that she'd done all of these things as well as now gone into computer coding. So I just think it's perhaps undervalued as a subject, because it's not just about the subject per se, and all of this still doesn't think about working together as a team, creativity, boosting confidence, all of these things that sound so cliche now, but it's so true. And I know that I said in my first vlog how important music was to my life. I really wish that I'd had the opportunity to be part of things like this. Now I do know that things like this were around when I was playing music as a child, but my parents didn't know to engage in it, and I think I was far too timid and retiring, probably too clueless as well to sort of say, please can I go to this? I don't think I knew what was going on around me really. And that's okay, we can't do everything, but I do think it's undervalued, and I'm so grateful for that experience in my life, for my children as well. And so this little chap here has been a massive part of that journey, and so that's why he's earned a place with his friend to sit here in the music room for a well-earned retirement. I do hope you've enjoyed my little memories and musing, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.